Hello and welcome to the first official WildWestGamer. I am the WildWestGamer, and thank you for joining me again. Hopefully you saw the first video, hopefully that's what led you here. I doubt it was probably what you were looking for, but if you took the time to watch it, thank you very much. I am very grateful. I know it's a little bit of a challenge to find the will to watch something that you've never ever heard before, especially if there are no views. But thank you for being the first one. If it was you, if you were the second, thank you. And if you were any of the other however many that have watched it, thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed this one as well. I start off by talking about a very deep subject. It's probably not what you were expecting, but I want to get this out of the way. There are loads of videos debating for and against violence in video games. You aren't going to struggle to find any. And if it's something that you feel very strongly with, then I urge you to make your own. Even if you don't have any plans of doing a channel or anything along these lines, please do a video or please voice your opinions in a constructive argument. I believe the subject needs as many people to voice their opinion, because I personally feel that there are more people out there who have no understanding of video games, no interest in trying to understand them, and just want to attack them because they consider them outside the norm. You know, they consider them to be an affront to their personal beliefs, which is that people should not revel in violence. Only thing is, it's not real violence, is it? It's artificial, it's constructed, and it's really in no way at all realistic. But I've got a little bit ahead of myself there. But yes, I would urge you to do it. I would seriously like to see a lot more videos pop up about it, just so if people do come onto the internet looking for, something about violence about video games, they find us, the hardcore gamers, the fan base, the true players who regularly are exposed to video game violence and have absolutely no problems at all. We have no mental issues, no sort of psychological, disturbed or warped, dreams about committing horrific acts against our fellow man or woman or anyone else. We are normal people who simply enjoy playing video games. And that is, again, another reason why I put this channel out. We, the gamers, we are the ones who, go out and spend our hard-earned money on buying these or downloading them off Steam or, however you get your video games. We are the ones who, play them. We love them. There are dedicated fan bases, hardcore fan bases. There are people who've been with certain franchises, since right at the beginning. And I'm talking about things like Zelda, like Mario, a little bit, sort of perhaps newer Crash Bandicoot, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. The new Tomb Raider has just come out and is doing amazingly well, and a whole new generation of people are now going to be able to play Tomb Raider and then be, interested in going back to the very beginning on the PlayStation 1 and finding out our origins and our roots. And we are the ones who know best. Because of that, because of things like that, we know best. We know what affects us. We know what has an influence on us. And video games don't. I'm sorry, they just don't. No study has proven that there is a link between video game violence and actual violence. Contrary to what you might hear, you can go and check out both the United Kingdom's government and the US is currently doing another one after the horrific atrocity. It was an atrocity, horrific atrocity at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut on December 15th. I know the US government are now doing another survey, and they are also they brought in the heads of the video game industry to talk to them. I didn't find out what was said. I didn't find out if there were any reports from it. I'm hoping though they put a very good, strong case forward, and I'm hoping that it was one of those things which it happened so fast. I didn't seem to seize the information when it was there. But I am hoping that the people who went there and the people who were chosen or volunteered really fought the case that, people don't need to be scared of video games. It's not video games' fault. But I think even though, like I say, there are people fighting for it, we need to join that. We need to join that chorus as well of voices saying it's not video games' fault. It is not the fault of electronic entertainment if someone goes out and commits these acts. There is no link. Now, I'm not sure what the American media is like, but I can tell you now the British media is horrific. And there are two circumstances I can think of. The first one was the Sun newspaper, the British tabloid of very high quality. Oh yes, very high quality. The tabloid that likes to hack the phones of murdered young girls and delete text. So of course we should blatantly believe whatever they put on the front page. Any journalist as sickeningly depraved as that certainly should be allowed to continue to voice opinions. I'm not saying that the same journalist did it, but I'm just saying that I'm sorry, but a newspaper that hires that sort of quality journalist, I doubt very much what the rest of them are like. Certainly when they write a headline blaming Call of Duty for the murders in Connecticut, which is ridiculous. First of all, why focus on that? Why focus on the murderer? Why focus on the video games? You could have focused on the victims, on the families, on the community. You had anything else to focus on apart from some nonsensical drivel about, how there was a link between the fact that this kid, this man, whatever you want to call him, this vermin, played Call of Duty. I mean, what is the link? How does that have anything to do with that? There is no way playing Call of Duty makes you an efficient killer. It doesn't make you want to kill. People play these to relieve stress, not to pour it back on themselves. And the Sun ran with this article. They said that there was a link between violent video games and what this gentleman did. Or at the very least, they heavily suggested it, which is in a way more damning because that allows people to make up their own, mind on a subject which they've already been influenced towards a certain opinion, which wasn't true. Wasn't true at all. There was absolutely no reason. There was an interview in America on a talk show, and was it Penn or was it Teller? Magicians. I can't remember which one. The guy with the glasses. If you guys see this, please correct me, because what he said was absolute magic. It was brilliant. He said Call of Duty, whether or not we like it, that's me in my personal opinion, whether or not we like it, is the most popular video game in the world, probably ever. It is without a shadow of the doubt the highest selling, the highest grossing, the fastest selling video game ever. The series in a whole, that is. It would be absurd not to think that young people would be playing this. It would be equally as absurd to think that a killer would not be playing this. He fit into the demographic of people that would be playing this game, so he was playing this game. I mean, it's like saying if, My Little Pony was what every, 18 to 30-year-old male was playing with, and one of them went and committed a murder. Does that mean My Little Pony is to blame? Does that mean somehow we can link My Little Pony to violence? No, it doesn't. But just because Call of Duty does have killing in it, automatically that makes the connection a lot more feasible, despite the fact it's not. Now, another equally harmful article. It was a program. It was a TV program, the Alan Titchmarsh Show. And if for our American cousins or anyone else watching from overseas, I don't expect you to know who that is. Let's just say he's not exactly someone who has any sort of information on this. And they had Kelvin Mackenzie, the former editor of The Sun. Yeah, see a running theme here. They had an actress, again, of so little worth, I didn't really care to pick up her name, and the editor for Official Xbox Magazine, I think. Again, if I'm wrong, please tell me. I should have got the facts on this. I haven't, but I remember the gist of it, the important parts, because they stuck with me, because it made me so angry. Instead of Alan Titchmarsh being the balanced mediator he should have been, the entire segment of the show turned into, let's get video games, let's, grab your pitchforks and torches, boys, we're going to burn them down at the foundations. It was horrific. It was a slaughter. There was absolutely no real hard evidence at all. It was essentially a piece about, are video games, age restricted enough, which of course, yes, they are. We have games for young children, which are given, you have under 12s. I think they're given an E for everyone, by the ESRB. Likewise, you then have 12s, you have 15s, you have 18s, you also have 16s as well. Video games are rated. There are different ratings, but regardless, they are rated. And a new video game rating system has just been implemented, which means that all video games will have this on them. All will have certifications on them. Not that any don't, but they will definitely have certifications on them, which clearly indicate what age, they are intended for. But this segment of the show simply ignored that. Simply implied that children could get hold of video games no matter how old they were. That the 9-year-old could go out and buy Grand Theft Auto, or Skyrim or Call of Duty or whatever. They could get their hands on it, as easy as going out and buying a box of Lego. It was simply ridiculous. Calvin McKenzie, of course, said he didn't know anything about video games, but still threw in his opinion. Alan Titchmarsh talks about he plays video games about as much as funnily enough, about as much as I know about gardening. But he, again, voiced his opinion, all of which was completely unbalanced and biased towards attacking the poor journalist, the editor of the magazine, I believe it was, who, was, putting across very, very good, solid, case for the fact that video games don't, have any intent on corrupting the youth of society, that they are regulated and certified. But this fell on deaf ears. And of course the actress throwing her 5 cents in was, video games, the violence in it is just disgusting and they shouldn't be allowed to be played towards children, and what if children get hold of them? It's like, well, yeah, but they shouldn't be. Well, they can't. It's parents, to be quite frank, or adults who have no interest in knowing about video games but still buy them for their children, who primarily are the way that children get them, or at least children's peers. They are the ones who are buying these games for them. Or, it's parents just giving their children their credit card numbers, their bank cards, and going, get yourself something nice, honey. And, kids can jump online nowadays. Kids are very tech savvy. My nephew, who is 5 years old, at the age of 3, I watched him hop on a computer, power it up, and start playing Minecraft. I mean, how do kids know how to do this? I couldn't have done it at that age, but kids do nowadays. So it's not outside the realm of, possibility to think that they can go online and buy video games, and there's no way to stop them. They simply ask you, are you old enough in some circumstances? Or because the account is registered to someone who is old enough, it doesn't even bother. So that entire segment completely missed that. It completely segued that. There was no possible way that it could be anyone else's fault, apart from video games, because video games were trying to get into the hands of young adults, and they were trying to make them, commit awful acts of, criminal behavior, and, they were trying to corrupt them and, bring down society, and, I was expecting them next to say they were responsible for the breakup of marriages. It was just ridiculous. It was pathetic. And these two examples are what got to me the most. The fact that media seems so intent on completely ignoring any rational debate on whether or not video games do cause violence, which they don't. Studies have proven that. The personal testimonies of individuals who play video games have proven that. And the fact that, a lot of people are mature enough to know the difference between right and wrong nowadays. And if they're not, they shouldn't be playing video games, should they? I mean, if you're telling me that there is someone who, perhaps has, I don't want to sound like a jerk now, but if someone has learning disabilities, has learning disabilities and cannot differentiate between, say, reality or fantasy, or if they can't differentiate between, what they're seeing on screen and, what's outside the TV, situations like that. Are you going to go and buy them a video game? Are you going to go and buy them God of War? You think that's, you think that that's an appropriate thing for that person to have, not, attention from another human being, instead, doing something perhaps more physically constructive, outside. No, you'll park them in front of a TV with Mortal Kombat, and then wonder why in a week or so they're completely, confuddled in the brain and go out and start smashing people's faces in because they can't differentiate between what they've just witnessed on the TV and what's in real life. Speaks for itself, doesn't it? It's using this. I have a daughter. I have a 2-year-old daughter. When she's old enough to play video games, what am I going to buy her? Am I going to buy her Viva Pinata? Or am I going to go and buy her... Oh, I don't know. What have I got here? I know. Resident Evil 2. What do you think? And I know gamers share this opinion. The majority of gamers believe the same thing, that video games don't make us violent. They can prove that it doesn't make them violent. People who play video games have, as children, not as children, as young adults, who are old enough to play violent video games, have gone on to join, law enforcement, the armed forces. They've become paramedics, firefighters, they've become scientists, doctors, businessmen, businesswomen. I mean, Christ, probably even astronauts and dentists. I mean, this is the sort of thing, these statistics never get brought up, but as soon as there's a murder and as soon as they can link that back to video games, that is the cause. I think what I'm trying to get at is we need to have a much more constructive and balanced and rational conversation about the media as a whole. How do they view themselves? How do they view the world? And how does video games fit into all of this? Because if we're going to seriously blame video games and ignore all of the other issues, which is, lacks of the mental health awareness, if we're going to ignore perhaps, outside influences from drugs, if we're going to ignore the impressions from older children on younger children, if we're going to ignore anything else, that could have a contributing factor to someone's, poor state of mind, which makes them go and do stuff like this, and instead focus on, a fantastical element, which has, very, very minimal, actual influence on someone's life, then, society is kind of doomed in a way, It really is screwed if this is how we're going to consider that these things happen, because, artificial entertainment, which shows a little bit of blood, that's the cause for going into a school and shooting up, is it? That's what you're telling me. Because I can tell you now, it isn't. And if that's what we're going to chase, then we really are screwed. I hope that I've made sense. I hope that I've made a good case for why video games aren't violent. I hope I've put my point across that how annoyed I am that we focus on the wrong thing. Batsy has just gone dark again. Excuse me. There you go, Batsy. Yeah, I hope you guys share my opinion, or you can see where my opinion is. It becomes a rant eventually, and it becomes... the irony is that the people accusing the video gamers of violence tend to get a little bit irate. But it is true, this is an art form. People pour their hearts and souls into making, video games, into making, these things that we enjoy. And I think it is a real, it has a real detrimental effect if we allow people to blame them for, violence. It's not fair. We play these things to enjoy them, to have adventures, to escape reality. We don't do them to gain influence, to go out and commit evil deeds. So I'd really love to hear what you guys have to say. No, not you. You. And you. I really want to know what you have to say. Please do comment. Please do voice your opinions. Please subscribe as well. I hope to bring out more. I have got a couple ideas on what I'd like for the next video. I'm going to give you a clue. It's on the complete shitfest that was Aliens Colonial Marines. And the state of the video game industry as far as, hype goes. Like I say, hopefully I've made a very balanced and, sane case. If I haven't, say, Keelan, redo this video. It's crap. You suck. So yeah, thanks for tuning into the WildWestGamer. It was really good to, have another video out there and chat to you guys. And I hope to see you in the next video. Good day.